Today we are going to be mostly using our foam roller. It can be any length and size. Doesn't really matter for today. I'll be using this 3/4 roller. And we need a ball of some nature. Your choice could be a golf ball, lacrosse ball, tennis ball, pinky ball, kind of any smaller size ball. We're going to start by rolling our feet out. A lot of stuff that happens in our joints higher up actually comes from our feet and their inability to take on impact. So go ahead, kick off your shoes if you haven't already, and put that ball, whichever ball you happen to have, on the ground. We're just going to roll out the fascial tissue in our feet. So if you've ever had plantar fasciitis, you know how painful it is when your fascial tissue is adhered and doesn't move properly. We want to prevent that from happening. So we are going to, and if you need something to hold on to for balance, that is also totally fine. We are going to put that ball right where the heel of our foot kind of goes into what we consider to be the arch of our foot. So we're going to put that ball there and we're going to sit our weight into it. As much weight as we can handle. Everybody's going to be different, right? And we're going to take about 4 seconds to roll from the heel to the toes. We don't want those toes gripping. We don't want them doing anything other than moving naturally as the ball presses through muscles and tissue fiber in there and has them spread or curl on their own. So put some weight into it, and let's take about 5 seconds to get all the way to our toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm at my toes. I'm going to sink my weight in again and do the same thing on the way back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that you know the pace, you have at least 3 more rolls down the center of your foot at that exact same pace. Now we're only on the center right now. Don't worry, we'll go inner and outer part of the sole of our foot. But for right now, just stay in the center, really sitting weight into that ball. You may find that you have a spot or two that's particularly sensitive in your foot. If you do, remember where it is. You have 2 more passes. Remember where it is, and then we're going to hang out there for 30 seconds on that spot. You have a trigger point that is formed there. And it just means that there's either been a trauma or overuse or maybe even underuse of that area, and we need to send a message to the brain that this shouldn't be here so it can start to release itself. So last time, all the way to the toes, making a mental note of where that spot was. And it might not be excruciating, it just might feel a little different than somewhere else, but we're going to go find it. So go find that spot. Mine's right dead center. I have high arches, so that's not surprising. All right, hang out there for 30 seconds. Our time starts now. Just breathe. The biggest thing with rolling is we need to allow our body to relax into it. If your muscles are spasmed or engaged, you're not going to get any of the benefits of foam rolling. Foam rolling and stretching equally take about 30 to 90 seconds to get any benefit from them. So make sure that anytime you are doing your rolling, let's say you only have 5 minutes, well, you pick 2 to 3, maybe 5 places that you want to spend your time, at least a minute on each of those, right? So you have about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. So you're going to roll again. And we want to spend those little extra bits of time on those sensitive spots because now, I'm sure as you roll over it, it will actually be less sensitive this time around. Good. So let's go to the outside of the foot. Same exact concept. So we're going nice and slow. We're allowing the toes to do whatever the toes do as that ball rolls up and down our foot. Good. If you're like me, I was a professional runner. I played soccer my whole life, literally well into my 30s, thinking about playing again. I've been rough on my feet, and If you wear high heels all the time to work, right? Most of us are pretty rough on our feet. So this rolling of your feet, you'll be amazed if you do it even 5 minutes a day, every day, how much better your whole body will feel just from the rolling of the feet. Good. If you have any sensitive spots, find them now. We're here for 30 seconds. And if you don't, you're welcome to just keep rolling at that slow, controlled. Breathe into it. Remember, we're trying to put more weight, not less. Don't let that weight shift over to the other leg. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now you're going to the center of that arch. Probably the part that you think of as your arch. So again, starting where the heel connects, and we're going to roll all the inside part all the way to that big toe. Beautiful. Might be a little crunchy in there. That's okay. It's tissue. As long as you are not causing yourself like electrical, stabbing, really sharp pain. If it's just kind of sore or that discomfort that you would get from rolling or stretching, that's okay. Good. Okay, find your spot, if you have one, and hang out there. 30 seconds. Then we're going to switch to the other side. Then we're going to hop back down to the ground. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. So I like to walk around for a second. I like to take a few steps. I like to feel the difference in my ability, and you hear things crackling and popping a little bit, my ability to push off for my right foot, my mobility through my ankle, all just from rolling my foot. I feel lighter on my right side. You may or may not feel these sensations, but I do notice, and things start to snap and crackle and pop on that right side as they actually are able to move. So I like to kind of feel what it should feel like, right, on a daily basis as my reminder that that's how my body wants to move. And hopefully I remember to do my rolling every day. I don't, I'm not going to lie. I'm just like you guys. I'm human. I get busy. I don't do my rolling every day. But it's a good reminder. Here we go. So right in the center, dropping weight down onto the heel and rolling nice and slow and controlled. Allowing those toes to move just the way they naturally want to move because of the rolling. You might find it's easier to put pressure into it, going one direction over the other. It's all right. Now your body builds up compensation patterns. Like your body's goal is to keep you moving, right? So if there is a dysfunction somewhere, your body is going to figure out how to recruit other muscles, it's going to figure out how to recruit other fibers, other types of tissue, ligaments and tendons, it's going to joints, it's going to figure out how to keep you moving forward. That's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, it's good if it's like we need to survive, but it's not good in terms of our long-term health. And that's where rolling and yoga and some of those other things, kid stretch, that's where those things come into play, where we get our body back into alignment so that we can unravel those compensation patterns that have formed. If you have a sensitive spot, find it now. Here's one for me. We want to unravel those. It's like an onion. We're peeling off layers all the time. But we want to get our body moving the way it was designed to move and not the way that it is figured out how to compensate to move. So I highly encourage, if you have the time, to do a little rolling before any workout. Even 5 minutes is better than none. And to do a little bit as your recovery work afterwards. It's going to improve your recovery times. It's going to prevent injury. It's going to help alleviate some soreness. Beautiful. Let's go to the outside of the foot. Lots of benefits, plus it just can be very relaxing, right? Can help you improve your sleep. Outside of the foot. Depending on if you happen to pronate or supinate, you might find the outside or the inside of your foot to be more uncomfortable than others. One more pass and then find a spot if you have one. There's one for me. Now hang out here for 30. Then we'll go to the inside, down to the floor. Breathe. You're here for about 10 more seconds. Just breathe into it. Or think about what else you need to do today, right? Whatever gets your mind off the discomfort for 3, 2, 1. Good, to the inside. It's always surprising to me, even though I've been doing this for forever, that one side can feel so dramatically different than the other side. If you sit at a desk a lot of the day, you can actually have, and I often recommend this, have a ball underneath your desk. You won't be able to put as much pressure into it, but you will be able to release your feet, at least on a little bit more superficial level, even while you're sitting there, which is great for when you get up to start walking around. It's good, just like stimulus to the body, keeps the blood flowing, right? Find a spot if you have one, 30 seconds, then we're heading down to the mat. You've got about 10 more seconds, stay with me. Awesome. All right, walk around again. Maybe stretch your toes in both directions. All right, when you are ready, go ahead and come down to your mat. We're going to start, we are going to come back to our ball one more time for the low back, but we are first going to start by rolling out the glutes, which in pretty much any foam rolling class I teach, I will always do the glutes because they pretty much always need to be reinvigorated, right? Invigorated. So go ahead and have a seat, roll onto the right side, bring your left hand across. My right ankle is crossing over my left knee. My right hand is behind. Just rolling through the glute. We spend, just as human beings, we spend too much time on our tush. We really spend too much time seated. Our bodies were not designed to spend 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day sitting on them. Just like they weren't designed to be standing for that long. So while having a stand-up desk is great, you don't want to stand the whole time either. You want to switch back and forth. But what ends up happening is our glutes stop firing the way they're supposed to. And just like I talked about before, those compensation patterns start to form. And that stress starts to go into the joints and our hips and our knees, goes into our low back. So we always want to make our largest muscle group, which is our glutes, I want to make sure they're firing, that they're awake, that they're doing their job. Getting a little bit more into the piriformis by tipping that knee down to the side. If you've ever had sciatica, typically it happens because you have your piriformis muscle, or your medial glute, pressing on that nerve, and so you'll get the sciatic nerve, so you'll get that pain. So by keeping your glutes firing and open and moving the way they're supposed to, you can often alleviate that. Good. Let's do the other side. Left foot is crossed over right knee. My left hand is behind, and my right hand is on my left leg, rolling my left side. Breathing. I'm using my right foot to push. Now, some classes we do shorter periods of time and we go through the whole entire body. Today we're not. Today we're focused a little bit more on some specific areas, and sometimes that's okay, right? As I mentioned before, we don't have to do everything every time. Instead, we can put a little bit more focus on areas that are more of a concern or areas that take on more strain than others. You don't always have to do everything. Just like with your workouts. Every workout doesn't have to be crazy hard. There is a time and a place for you to be just walking instead of running or jumping, right? There's a time and a place for low impact over high impact. There's a time and a place for just taking a dance class because it makes you happy. Because it's really about movement more than it should really be about movement more than exercise, if that makes sense. Moving your body is what leads to longevity and better health. And health is so much more than just physical. It's all about your mental health also. So if you dread high impact, don't do high impact. Find things that you're passionate about, the movements, types of movement that you like and that bring you joy. Good. All right. So have a seat. Put that foam roller right behind the low back. We are going to go into our lumbars. So not on the spine, but this meaty area, right to the side of it. We're going to go from those low ribs down to the top of the glutes. So first lean back, roll to one side. Whatever side, I'm going to the right now. Whatever side, you drop that elbow down. And you're just going to keep rolling from the top of the glutes to those lower ribs. It is not uncommon for you to come across where your psoas and your QL insert and have that be a little sensitive. Now, rolling with the roller right here, this is a little more superficial. This is our prep work for what we're going to do with the ball here in just a moment. So just note, like if you're coming across a really sensitive spot, even with this foam roller that's very broad and superficial, then when we go with the ball, I want you to be mindful. Be gentle on yourself because I don't want it to be too painful for you. Good. Maybe you need to add a little rotation in there, which is what I'm doing, just so I can get in just a little deeper. You're here for about 10 more seconds and we'll switch to the other side. Sometimes I find a spot I like to do little rolls over it. For 3, 2, 1, let's do the other side. Reposition myself, I'm going to lean back, roll off my spine, left elbow down. Good. Keep rolling. Remember, from those lower ribs to the top of the glutes, don't sell yourself short. I do understand, though, if you have a spot that you feel like needs a little more attention, feel free to go there. Just make sure you do the full range of motion. Awesome. We've got about 12 seconds here. Great. Let's go to that mid-back point. So we're going to go to wherever your brow line or below the shoulder blades might be for you. We're going to put our hands behind our head if you have long hair, like I do, too long these days. If you have long hair, pull it up. If you're wearing a sweatshirt, pull the hood up because it will get sucked under the roller. You're going to lift your hips up. You're going to drop your head back. As you roll back towards your bra line, you're going to crunch forward. Allowing that head to drop down and back as you roll towards the neck and up as you crunch forward. This one is often a favorite of those who spend a lot of time sitting at a computer hunched forward, or anything massage therapist. Anybody who has that forward hunched posture regularly. But just as a society, we tend to be weaker in our back and really tight through the chest and the shoulders. So this one is a great one to work in regularly. Much like the feet, this one can really help a lot. Nice. You're here for about 10 more seconds. Three, two, one. Awesome. All right. So coming off of that, now that we've prepped the back for what's to come, grab your little ball again. So you are going to find your spine. Here's my spine. I'm going to put that ball right to the side of my spine on either side. Doesn't matter which side you start on. And what we're going to do is we're going to be rolling that ball away from the spine. So we're going to sink in, we're going to try and pull the muscle out to the side. So laying on your back, find right above the glutes, not on any muscle, not on any bones, only on muscle, only on soft tissue, right next to the spine. Allow your body to just sink into it. Now, from there, you are going to shift. If I'm on the right side right now, I'm going to shift my hips to the left so that the ball rolls out towards the right. The goal is for it to kind of pull those muscles away from the spine. Now, the reason we're doing that is you have these little tiny muscles called multifidi that connect to the spine. And they can get really tight and bound up, and they can limit our spine's ability to mobilize itself. So they're there to protect the spine. They're there to stabilize. But like anything, if it gets too tight, it causes dysfunction. So roll it out. Good. And we're going to spend like 3 or 4 passes at each vertebra. So once you do that one, then you just shift up just a little bit higher. Good. And again, you always sink in next to the spine and then really pull away from the spinal column. Pull those muscles away. And I'm rolling all the way out here to my side, but you listen to your body and see what feels right. Good. All I'm doing is shifting those hips to the left. My booty is off the ground the whole entire time because I don't want a weird arching through my low back. Good. And you just keep moving up until you get to the lower ribs. Now we don't want to go over those lower ribs because we don't want to move them around at all. No rib injuries while trying to roll up your low back. Good. Just pull it out to the side. Now if you've ever been somebody who's like, my back went out. This one and another one we're not going to do today, but for the psoas, are 2 of the best rolling techniques you can do to get yourself out of pain almost immediately. I would say 80% of the time. All the time clients say, oh, my back, I can't move, I can barely stand up, whatever it might be. I recommend this. I'm moving up one last time. I recommend this, and sure enough, they're all like, it's magic. It's not magic. You just have to know where things insert and connect and what causes things, but this is a good trick to have up your sleeve in case you do get that low back pain. Last one on side, and then we switch to the other side. Good. So I'm starting back down at the bottom, right to the side of my spine. Nice. Really sit into it. Really allow that muscle to pull away from the spine. Sink into it. You'll be amazed at how all of the muscles are connected and that fascial tissue is connected. Sometimes you'll get pain in, let's say, your knee or something, and you'll go and you'll release your low back, and then the knee pain will be gone. There's these fascial lines that run through our body that connect everything, which is why we want to make sure that things are moving the way they're supposed to so it doesn't cause dysfunction somewhere else. I had a client who had knee pain and ended up on his left knee and ended up finding that he needed some release work in his right shoulder, and when we released the right shoulder, got that functioning, his knee pain went away on his left knee. It's crazy. His body is crazy, everybody. Good. Keep rolling, moving up. You should be probably on your second to last spot that you'll be rolling in your back. Really sinking into it. Good. Moving up to wherever your last spot is. And if you went much faster than me, you need to slow down. Remember how we talked about your body needs time to be able to send those neurological responses to release in order to get the benefits from this. So slow it down. Let's do 2 more passes wherever you're at. Awesome. Come off of there. That is all I have for you guys today.